Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I am so excited to be back after a week of being off with you to celebrate my birthday. So I apologize, but what a guest we have today. Brit Taylor, all the way from Kentucky. Welcome, Brit.
Hey, and happy belated birthday.
Thank you. 46 never felt better.
That's right.
So you just got done playing some shows this weekend. You released an album this year, Kentucky Blue. At this point right now on November 21st, how do you feel like this year has gone for you?
It's been a whirlwind. I think it's gone well. I don't know. People ask me that all the time, and it just depends on which day you ask me. Um, one day I'm like, I feel like I'm on top of the world, and then absolutely nothing changes from that day to the next. And the next day I feel like I am not doing enough, not enough's happening. I need to make another record. And so which I think is just any artist, we're all that kind of crazy. So but I feel good. I've done a lot of crazy stuff this year and opened some really cool gigs with artists that I've been a fan of for a long time. And I've done some festivals that I just feel honored to have my name on the same bill as some of these artists. And it makes me feel like maybe I'm in the game now. So,
Well, that's a great feeling to have, isn't it?
yeah.
Especially after you started in 2020, correct? You released your first album,
Hmm.
and you self-produced that album?
I hired a producer, so I
Okay.
self-funded that record.
Yep,
I
so
Dave Brainerd actually produced that record, and he is still one of my favorite producers. He produced Brandy Clark's 12 Stories record, which I still to this day is just one of my favorite all-time records. The songwriting, the production, everything about that record is just great. And I'll never forget when it came out, the day it came out, and getting online and seeing who produced this, who wrote this, who did this. And that's when I first heard about Dave Brainerd and got in touch with him, started writing songs with him, and he helped me make that first record.
like obviously I have listened to that album many times now since I've gotten to know you. What where was your headspace at that time?
Oh gosh. I mean, I started that whole process and um I started thinking about it towards the end of 2017 and my world was just getting kind of flipped on its head. Um so uh the headspace was just scared and also determined. I think nothing lights a fire under your ass like being afraid and wanting to move forward. Yeah, I was just going through some really hard stuff. So a lot of that record is about a divorce um and I wanted to keep it as open-ended as possible. There's not like a bunch of this the album is more emotional than it is story. Like there's not these specific details about the things that I was going through, but I just tried to convey an emotion through those songs rather than a story so people could kind of put their own stories into the music.
Well, and unfortunately, a lot of people in this country, myself included, can relate to divorce and that feeling and that emptiness that you have. So did that kind of, you kind of mentioned that obviously, but how much was that an influence on that album?
Oh gosh. I mean, it's the whole reason the album happened.
The
Uh,
whole reason. Wow. Okay.
yeah, it's everything fell apart at kind of the same time. I had been in a band for 5 6 years and I had a professional songwriting deal and that was just not going anywhere. We had shopped record deals all over town. We had been called in for meetings and we thought our world was going to change just for them to look at us and say no or pass or whatever. So that all fell apart and I just I had so many songs within me that were different than what the band was doing that didn't really fit that. And then one of the guys just decided, he didn't want to tour anymore. He was having a family, and it just wasn't his needs and his wants. They just changed, and I couldn't blame him. And so everything kind of fell on its head. And then I had all these songs that were just, they needed to come out, and I needed to finally take care of myself for the first time ever. And I did that through making the record.
So, does mom or dad or anyone in the family, who has the musical talent in the family, or is it just you?
I'm just the weirdo.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
hmm
Okay.
I don't know what happened. It switched at birth, maybe. Who knows?
And at what age did you think that you might want to do this, for a living?
I never thought about doing anything else for a living. So as soon
Really?
as I knew I had to make a living, I just knew I was going to do it with music. And yeah, I never even, just never questioned it. It just always was what it is.
And obviously you've had the support of your family throughout, or was that kind of a bridge that you had to cross?
No, they've always been super supportive. My mom, I mean, there's videos, like home videos of me as a kid, and my mom saying, "Sing for me, sing that song for me." And I would just sing all the time. And I'm from East Kentucky, and there's just a really rich musical culture and history there. So there's a place in Prestonsburg called the Mountain Arts Center, and they have voice lessons, guitar lessons, all these things for kids. This kids tourist show called the Kentucky Opry Junior Pros. And my mom started taking me to voice lessons and got me involved in singing in the Kentucky Opry Junior Pros. So I was singing every Friday, Saturday of a summer season, and then also a Christmas season. Kind of like something you would see in Branson, cover songs with the band, and very touristy. And it was the love of my life. I mean, I loved doing it. And I was like, man, if I can just do this for the rest of my life, I'll be happy.
Was it the like appreciation of the audience? Was it just being on stage? Like, what was it about it specifically that you enjoyed so much? Or was it just the fact that you could sing and you could do it well?
I think it was a means of expression for me. I was a really quiet kid. Like I mean, I still am very quiet, and it's not because I don't have anything to say. I listen, and I'm just quiet. I mean, I was always called shy. I don't necessarily think that I'm shy. I'm just quiet. And I think that being on stage, and even now I can kind of become the best version of myself. I'm not shy. Like nobody's going to say I'm quiet or shy or this or that. I get to be the full expression of myself when I'm on stage.
So when you were on stage, like growing up, obviously you were singing with a group for the most part, correct? Or not so much?
Yeah, there was always a backing band behind me.
But I mean, also, like, you were part of like a chorus, or you were part of a group of singers, or did you often sing by yourself?
No, we would do, like, I would sing Judd songs. Um,
Oh,
so I would be like miniature Winona, and I would
oh,
wear the outfit and the fringe and the suede, and I would sing a Winona song, or it was always a Patty Loveless song or Dwight Yoakam. And yeah, it would just be one, kid after the next playing this part and singing this song for the band. And it was really funny, seeing me dress up like Winona, this little miniature version of Winona.
yeah. So I guess it's hard to maybe like harken back to that time. Like, how did you like? How was the dynamic between you and the band when you would play at that age? Just growing up.
I remember my voice teacher being like, "Man, she just knows what to do." And I don't know how I knew what to do. I just did. I never had to count when to start the verse or when to start the chorus. I just I kind of just knew on accident. I guess because I was such a big fan of country music, I was always listening to the radio and fighting my brother over the dial. and and it was kind of that way with songwriting too. Like just one day a song fell out of the sky, and it just so happened to be a verse and a chorus, and then a verse, and then a chorus, and then a bridge, and then another chorus. It was formatted nobody told me how to write a song, but I'd been singing them. I'd been singing so many songs and listening to so many that I just kind of, I don't know, it was in me.
Yeah. Well, obviously, right? So, so then, yeah. So, Real Me comes out in 2020, um, and then it seems like just from a during the pandemic, obviously releasing an album during that had to have kind of put everything on hold, right? Like, how did you deal with, like, because most artists are able to, like, tour after they release an album, and I would assume you did little or no touring, correct?
Yeah, there no touring in 2020 or 21.
Right.
And honestly, I didn't start touring until this year. So I really didn't have the opportunity to tour that record at all. Um, but I run a little business where I live, and I was working in that a lot during COVID. We operated a commercial cleaning company. Um, and so yeah, it sucked that I didn't get to tour, but it also, I feel like everybody, like the music industry, kind of went on hold, and a lot of people stopped releasing music, and I didn't. I saw it as an opportunity of, well, maybe this might give me a chance because all these other people stopped. So there's not as much of an influx of songs going to Spotify and Apple. Like, maybe this is my chance to actually get through the noise, and it was. I landed on the Indigo playlist, which was huge at the time and growing, and a big the entire music industry was talking about that playlist at that time.
Mhm.
And it landed on Emerging Americana, and I didn't have any contacts to any of, I don't know any, I mean, I didn't know anybody. So I feel like I was really lucky, and I kind of just led with my gut when everybody else was like, no, don't do that. Wait till next year. Wait, wait, wait. And I feel like if I would waited, maybe it would have been different. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten the chance that I got.
Yeah. Well, and I guess let's talk. That's a good segue because you spoke about the music industry. I can only imagine, and I want you to share as honestly as possible with what you're comfortable with of how tough it is to be a female country singer in a, let's be honest, in a misogynist kind of male dominated industry.
Yeah, it is. I hate to focus on it because I feel like I do believe that what we focus on, we end up manifesting more of it. So I'd rather focus on, there are more women than ever right now. Like, we are, it's still not as much as the 90s in country music.
Right.
Um, but there are more than there has been in a really long time. So I'm grateful for that. I think it is what it is, and we just have to, keep more moving forward and outdo the guys, and stick together and write great music.
Yeah, because it really comes down to the songs, doesn't it?
I like to think
No
so.
one cares who sings them. If it's a great song, like, it's a great song. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah, definitely.
And I apologize to put you up against a wall with that question, but
Oh, no,
I do
not at all.
feel like it is, it is. It's something that I don't know if the general music fan maybe even realizes is going on or has gone on. Anyone with a pulse to it, understands it, but the
Oh,
general
yeah.
music fan does not know.
Yeah, and it happens at the highest levels. Like, you can look at publishing rosters for songwriters that are trying to break acts. There's so many more males that get signed than females, even through TikTok. You have one girl that blows up on TikTok, but then they choose to sign the guy with the same number of, views or whatever. And I don't know. I mean, I think commercial radio still controls so much of what the industry does. Like, they're still the main gatekeeper of it all. And until that changes, it'll probably just keep going the way that it is. But it does seem like, I mean, Lainey Wilson has had numerous number ones. And I see women and even more traditional women getting country music singing women getting record deals right now. So, I mean, it could change at any moment. You just never know. And I feel like history repeats itself. So I'm waiting for the late 80s and 90s to come back around. Or even the 60s, Dolly
Right.
Parton.
Yeah. Bring back the 60s. That would be great. It was a lot simpler then.
Yeah.
So, that's a good segue though, talking about female country artists, because that's how I met you, through you opening up for Margot Price. Talk
Mhm.
about your experience on that tour. Just give me your thoughts and feelings, and your warm fuzzies from playing with her. Obviously short-lived, but
Yeah, I know. I was so sad. Margot's bus broke down. So two of the gigs we didn't get to play with her, but
right.
man, they say don't meet your heroes, but I'm thankful to say that just wasn't the case with Margot. I, as an opening act, just always try to stay out of the way. Like, I don't want to be invasive. I don't want to be in their space. Like, I know what it's like to have a big show and the kind of energy that it requires. So I just like don't want to be in anybody's way when I'm an opening act. Um, but Margot went out of her way to talk with me, to hang out with me and my husband after the show. Like, she didn't have to do that. And so I'm just really grateful to her, and just let me pick her brain on what it's like traveling with a family. Like, how does she do it? That's something that just makes me so nervous. I don't have any kids, and she was just so sweet and kind to talk with me, and I'm just really grateful for her. And her fans were cool too. Like, I feel like you attract, like, an artist will attract a certain type of fan,
Uh,
and she attracts cool people, like really cool, smart, sweet people. So it was just really fun. I hope that we get to do more shows together.
yeah. What did you think about the venue, the XL?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It sounded great in there. It was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, let's talk about Kentucky Blue for a little bit. Obviously, coming off of Real Me, you're like you said, it's pandemic time. How did meeting Sturgill Simpson and Dave Ferguson, how did that come about?
Oh my gosh. So I've known Ferg for since like 2018. He's
Okay.
kind of one of the reasons I stuck around in Nashville. He introduced me to Dan Auerbach, and we started writing together. And then I made the record with Dave Brainerd. And then fast forward, I'm trying to figure out who to make the next record and how I want to do it. I've signed this new publishing deal. I'm meeting with tons of producers, more on Music Row, doing the traditional like commercial country, like modern.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't having it. I just felt like I was about to be sucked back into a hole that I had tried and tried to fit into through my early 20s, that I was just like, it made me sick. Like, like, I am clearly not that kind of artist. I don't make that kind of music. I don't want to. Um,
Was it a
I don't
particular meeting, or was it just an overall vibe from
It
the
was it
meetings?
was a few different meetings that I
Okay.
was just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to make a record that sounds like this. And I text Ferg one day, and I was just like, hey man, like, I'm meeting with producers, and I just think that me and you should make a record together because you know how to make country records better than anybody. And I thought that um Ferg's always real sweet to respond, but I was like, if he don't want to do it, he just won't say nothing because he's too sweet to say no. And he responded immediately with, how about me and Sturgill do it? And I was like, are you kidding? Real, like, Sturgill Simpson. And
Right.
and I've had people promise me things over and over again in Nashville. We're going to make you a star. We're going to do this and do that. And then just to not happen. And I like to think that people have the best of intentions. I don't think that people are saying that and then intentionally not making things happen. I don't think that's the case, but it's still a big letdown, and it's hurt, it hurts. And so I was really scared. that it wouldn't happen, and I already had my hopes up because I just don't think it's human to not get your hopes up after you hear something like that.
Mhm.
And but Ferg and Sturgill made it happen. They made phone calls, and within 30 minutes, the session was on the books. And I was still even afraid after that though, because I was like, well, maybe what if it gets canceled, and what if this, and what if that? But it happened, and I'm so grateful that it did. I learned so much from them, and they're just good people, and they keep their promises.
So I'll ask that same question though. Like, what was your mindset going into that album then?
Um, well, first of all, I knew that it was going to get done the right way, and that it was going to get done in a way that I wanted it to, the way that I wanted it to sound. The instrumentation was going to be there.
Mm.
Nobody was going to try to put drum loops on it or mix it in a way that might get on commercial country radio. I knew that that wasn't going to be a concern. So I just went in um super excited to learn and to be able to work with them and to be able to put more songs that were more energetic and coming from like a happier, more positive headspace than the last record, and to kind of show off a different sonic side of who I am as an artist.
I think also, is it fair to say that there's a little bit more of your sense of humor on the new album than the
Yeah,
last one?
yeah, you can definitely catch some of it on the last one with like Married Again.
I was just gonna go, yep.
But yeah, I like funny songs. I feel like everybody's trying to act like they're too cool for school, and it just really annoys me.
You
Loretta
have
Lynn's
some great
funny.
lyrics in Married Again. Like, if I listed all of them, it would take too much time. But man, like, it's so good. But it's funny because you wrote that song and you got married again.
I know. That makes the joke even funnier. Now the joke's on me.
That's so we'll talk about that later. But um, so yeah, so getting back to then Kentucky Blues. So I mean, what was the experience like in the studio, and how many songs did you have? Like, did you bring to the studio?
Um, Ferg asked the day that I text Ferg and all that happened, he
Yep.
said, send me 25 songs. And which I'm really excited to be able to do that because that's the way I want to make records. I'm not the kind of artist that will just go write 10 songs and throw them on a record, because chances are if I go write 10 songs over the next month, I might like two of them.
Mm.
Like I'm very picky with even my own songwriting. Um, so I don't want to do that. But I got to go through my catalog of over the last, I guess these songs were from 2018 to 21. I don't think I picked anything older than that. But
Okay.
I got to go through all of my songs and pick what I thought was the best bunch of songs lyrically and sonically. And then we sat down at Cowboy Jack's studio, and we listened through all 25, actually 20, I think I sent closer to 30. So we listened to all of them and kind of picked the ones we thought would be the most cohesive together and everybody's favorite. We actually picked 15, and then we recorded 12, and 10 made the record.
Gotcha. And how much were you involved with the track listing of the record?
Like the sequence, like
Yes.
the
Yep.
order,
Hmm.
all of it.
All.
I asked Sturgill for help, and he wouldn't do it. He said it was my record. So they didn't even tell me which songs to cut. They just said 10 songs, pick your 10, pick your order. This is your record. Which,
That had to feel empowering, right? I mean,
and terrifying, because then it's all on me. But yeah, it was empowering, and I remember really enjoying doing that on the first record, and I really enjoyed it on this one too.
so do you see yourself doing a record any other way than what you've done the previous two?
Well, I've recorded both of those records completely different.
Oh,
The
okay, okay.
Yeah, the first record we kind of did piece by piece. It started out with just guitar vocals, and then we added drums and bass, and then we would add things on top of that. So it took a while. I mean, it took probably a year and a half to finish that record with Sturgill and Ferg, and one because there was a bigger budget. We did it in 3 days. We had all the pieces of the puzzle in there in the studio. It was tracked live. So it just went a lot faster rather than, this day we're going to do, add drums and bass. This day we're going to have fiddle come in or piano or whatever. It's just a more drawn out process, which I do like because there's time to really think about lyrical or not lyrical, but melodic hooks and things like that. There's just more time to think about things, but sometimes too much time. And it's really fun doing it the way Sturgill and Ferg like to do it because the energy is just so high, and I feel like it gets sucked into the track, and I think that's really cool.
So how has your relationship with Sturgill been since you guys recorded? Like, how often do you guys talk? What's that relationship like since you put out the record?
Yeah, he's a busy dude. I mean, I've seen him a handful of times and message him every now and then, but we got our own stuff going on, and but he's always kind to me and super supportive. And he helped me put a lot of the pieces of the puzzle together even outside of recording that record, like finding 30 Tigers and booking agents and stuff like that. Like I'm forever grateful to Sturgill and Ferg.
And so then was it just out of let's just say like being the best business decision to create your own label?
Well, it was more out of I had to.
Okay, desperation then. Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fair.
Because if you don't have
Cut a
one,
Shine
like,
Records, right?
yeah, if you
Yeah.
don't have one, you have to make one. So,
So
uh,
tell the audience about that, how that process came about, and like how difficult it is. Like, I think you're the first artist that I know that I've gotten to interview that is, created their own record label. So
yeah,
talk
well,
about that.
Sturgill has his own record label, and so does Tyler. Or did Tyler did. I think he's in partnership probably with his new record label, but even Jason Isbell. So anybody that goes through 30 Tigers is like it's a distributor. So they partner with labels. So essentially you have to form your own record label if you're going to put out your own music, even if you hire a distributor. So the first record I put out through a different distributor, and I needed a record label and didn't have one. So I created one, and it's called Cut a Shine Records. And have you heard of Cut a Shine before?
No, tell the audience. Yeah.
It's kind of like throwing a fit or pitching a fit. Have you heard that one?
Yeah, of course.
So if you're in a grocery store or something in East Kentucky or anywhere Appalachia, and you hear a kid squalling, screaming and crying, you'll hear somebody say, "Lord, that youngin's cutting a shine." So that's why I named it that, Cut a Shine. I was like, I'm just gonna cut a shine until somebody listens.
That's brilliant, first of all, and it's a great story. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So yeah, so the album comes out. Obviously you're nervous, you're excited. Like, what emotions are you going through? Because obviously it's like you said, this is a lot bigger deal than the previous album.
Yeah, it's definitely heavier for sure. I want it because all of a sudden I don't want it to just do well for me. I want it to do well for Sturgill, and not that he needs me by any stretch of the means, but I want to make him proud, and I want to make Ferg proud, and 30 Tigers and the whole team that works, so hard over there, my new publishers. There's definitely, it's weighted when you have more people on the team because, you want to be successful for everybody.
So let's talk about, well, actually, I first want to ask you this. So are you more of a lyrics first or music first when it comes to your songwriting?
Usually the lyrics come with a melody.
Okay.
It'll usually start as a phrase, and I'll usually hear a melody with it.
Yeah. And that's how most of your, like, that's basically the foundation of the song, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'll have like a hook. I like to write from a hook. Is what people like on Music Row and in publishing, the publishing world and writer world, that some people like to start with nothing. I
Right.
like to start with a hook and a general idea. And sometimes the song, we'll keep the hook, but the idea of it turns into something completely different because it hit whoever else was in the room a completely different way. And that's always really fun uh, to me, too.
So I want to talk about two songs because we kind of already talked about Married Again. Um, the first song is For a Night.
Mhm.
Is that song autobiographical, or is that more, because you said it's not, those songs aren't stories, so I'm assuming that it's autobiographical. And what was the inspiration behind that song?
It's not really. There's some lines, I guess, that could be like, let's get out of the city. Like that was
Right,
probably
that's, yep.
because I don't want to be in the city. But that really just spun off of Pat. I was writing in this room with Pat McLaughlin and Cliff Aldridge. And Pat was like, you need a song that sounds like, and I don't remember what song he referenced. Um, but I think that's how it started. Pat doesn't always write from a hook, which is funny because he's one of my favorite people to write with.
Mm.
Um, he just, things just fall out of the sky and just land on him. He'll write a whole song on his drive over here. But that one just started with a general conversation and Pat just playing on the guitar until somebody started singing something, and that song just kind of fell out of the sky and wrote itself. I feel like the little song angels, we had our little three muses, and they were all playing together and writing together, and that's just what happened.
So do you personally like that song? I mean,
I love that song. I didn't think that it would. I didn't think that they would want to put that one on the record though, because it is pop. It's very pop.
yeah,
Not,
I would say, yeah.
yeah, not modern day pop at all. But like what, 50s, 60s, or I guess 70, more 70s. And it's got the big string section, so I just didn't see where it was gonna fit with like all the fiddle and more of the Appalachia stuff, but they made it did fit. And honestly, Sturgill didn't care if it didn't. He's like, this is your record, who says we can't put it on here, was more of his attitude. Like he doesn't care if it fits or not. um but I think we made it work.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The other song I want to talk about is the opening track, Cabin in the Woods. It just has a warmth to it, and again, like, you get a little bit of your sense of humor in that song. Talk about that song and the evolution of that song.
Yeah, I'm in my little cabin in the woods right now.
Yeah.
You can see all the trees out the window. My little fireplace that is in the song. Um, I love it out here. It's my little piece of heaven. It's peaceful, and all my animals are out back, and it's just one of my favorite spots in the world. And when I thought of that song, I was recently single, so I was inviting um, some guys out to my little cabin in the woods, and and that was kind of how that song started. Like, come on over and hang out with me, and it's just like a really fun and flirty song.
So I think that's a good segue, because we were going to talk about your husband anyway. Like, how did this come about? When in the
Yeah.
song it said we weren't ever getting married again. Because it's funny, when I am now dated my girlfriend now almost 6 years, and when I met her, one of the first conversations I had with her is, I was like, just let you know, I'm never getting married again. And I've stood true to that. So Britt, what's going on?
That is so funny. Yeah, I don't even know if when I wrote that song, that I think it was more of a joke,
Right.
and we couldn't find anything else to write about that day. And that morning I was putting my makeup on, singing "I Ain't Never Gonna Get Married Again," and I had the melody and the dun dun. And when I sang it to Dave Brainerd and Will Hogue, they were like, "We're writing that." I was like, "We're not writing that. I'm kidding." And they were like, "No, we're writing that song today." And then I ended up recording it. And fast forward, I met Adam, and he's my better half. I mean, he's kind of like the missing piece. I got married really young to somebody I just thought I was supposed to be with, kind of meeting the societal, um, I don't know, stigmas. I don't know if that's the right word. But it just checked off all the boxes and looked the way it was supposed to. And then I wasn't happy. It didn't work. Neither of us were happy. And then Adam and I have always been good friends, and he was checking up on me and making sure I was all right. And I'll never forget, like, kind of having a meltdown here at my house. And I just sat down on the rug and was like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to get on a dating app? I don't want to get on a dating app. Is that how it works now? And Adam said, I don't think you need that. I don't think you need to get on that app, because I didn't even know he was interested in me to date. And then we were just hanging out more, and we just fell in love. And it's been really fun because he's my best friend. Like, we do everything together. We run a company together. He helps me with all of that, and then we get to tour together and make records. And we also understand each other's needs and wants to be individuals as artists too. So it's something really unique and special, and I cherish it.
So yeah, so let's talk about that. Everybody says, like work-life balance, for you, like it really is a balance. Like, how do you, maintain your daily life with the business as well as touring, as well as recording? Like, it seems like you have a lot of eggs in multiple baskets. So how do you do that? How do you maintain?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I I do the best that I can, and I win some and I lose some. And the losses, I've lost business this year being on the road and not being home to take care of things. And it's been tough as far as that goes, but I know that, I'll build it back up again, and it'll be all right, and music's going well. And I just take it one day at a time, because that's really all that I can do. And I plan the best that I can, and have just learned that I need to give myself um, a little more grace, because I can't be perfect at everything, which really drives me nuts.
Yeah. Well, and you can't be everywhere at any
Once,
time to, right. Yeah.
for there to be three of me, I could
Right.
get I could get some shit done if there was.
I definitely agree. So let's go back for a second to when you were kind of cutting your teeth in Nashville. And I read that you started playing regularly at a place called Tootsie's. Right? Is that correct?
Mhm. I
I,
played all of them.
I'm sure you have some great stories about either guests or customers while you were playing. Like, if you could think of one or share one, I would love to hear it.
Oh gosh. I mean, I'm trying to think of a positive one.
Well, or negative, either one.
I mean, I can't even think of anything right now.
But or like, what did Tootsie's mean to you? What did it mean to you at that time in your career, and being able to play at those places?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
guess that's
they're
a better question.
legendary. They're legendary. The Music Row and playing gigs, it's it's part of country music history, even though it is different now than it was. And even when I got here, labels don't really go down there searching for acts anymore. But then you have, sometimes it happens. When I was playing downtown a lot, and also like talking to different publishers, they were coming downtown to see me sing. So it is still very much a Nashville um, thing. And I'm glad that I got to do it. I made a living doing it before I signed my publishing deal. And honestly, probably would have never gotten any better at guitar had I not been forced to play 4-hour sets every day on Broadway, because it forced me to practice and learn all kinds of songs.
What would some of your favorite covers that you would do?
Oh gosh, all the Patty Loveless ones. I love You Can Feel Bad If It Makes You Feel Better, and
Mm.
You Don't Even Know Who I Am, and Dwight Yoakam, Fast as You, and Ain't That Lonely Yet. I mean, it's Shania Twain songs, Loretta Lynn, like all of them. I mean, it was 4 hours worth of songs.
Yeah. You had a lot of time.
Yeah. It was always fun to try out new songs I had written too, because I would never tell anybody that I wrote it. I would just play it. And I could always tell that it was a good song if people thought they had heard it already. They're like, where did I hear that song? Who sings that song? Like, it's mine.
Yeah, that is one of the ultimate compliments, right? As a
Yeah.
song. So, and then fast forward really what, 5 years, right? Because you were playing Tootsie's in 2017, 2018.
Yeah, I guess so 2017, I was just at Margaritaville,
Okay.
actually. So I guess Tootsie's was earlier, like 2010, maybe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So fast forward then 13 years to this year, and you played the Grand Ole Opry.
Yes, I did.
I mean,
Crazy.
yeah, like just give us a synopsis on that whole experience.
It was wild. It was just absolutely a dream. And if there weren't pictures and videos to prove it, I would tell you that it was a dream and it didn't actually happen because it was literally perfect. My family was here. The band is phenomenal. It sounded like I was playing with a track to my record. Um, it was just a dream. Like walking out into that circle is something that I've always dreamed about. I mean, I've dreamed about it like most little girls dream about white dresses and their wedding day. I never really thought about that, but I did think about the Opry and being in the circle and it's just wild that it actually happened.
Yeah, it's kind of like for people who don't know anything about the Grand Ole Opry or the Ryman, like in country music, that is like associated to like Red Rocks for like rock music and like jam bands,
Yeah.
like just an iconic venue that like
Yeah.
people want to play at any point in their career. So,
Yeah. The opera is where country music starts.
right.
That is kind of the starting point and the end goal. That it's just everybody who's anybody, played the Opry. It's prestigious in country music.
Yeah. So is there a male country artist that's, on the radio now that would maybe be a dream like kind of duo, like where you would do a song together? Or have you thought about like if you, had that opportunity, would there be an artist that you would love to like do a song with?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to sing with Chris, which I don't know if they play him on the radio or not, but
Okay.
uh, I think Chris has one of the most beautiful voices. I love his new record. The song he wrote with Miranda kills me. I can't stop listening to it, like just repeat over and over again. I'm trying to think of somebody else.
I mean, there's,
Oh, there are more because there's plenty of them.
anyone from like that's lives like or that was like hometown within maybe like 30 miles of where you grew up, like just maybe like a hometown.
Uh, Artist, yeah, like
Yeah.
Tyler Sturgill.
Oh, Tyler Childers is like in your backyard as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
Tyler and Stapleton, Sturgill, Patty Loveless, Dwight Yoakam. I would love to sing something with Dwight Yoakam. Um, and Patty Loveless or Winona. Yeah, those are all those Kentucky artists are my favorite.
and go blue, right?
Yeah.
So so what do we have to look forward to then? Like, obviously we're almost to the end of the year. Any more touring for the rest of the year? What do
I've
we
got
got going on?
I've got 4 more shows with Drayton in
Okay.
Ohio and Indiana. And then I've got some exciting shows I'm about to announce over the next couple weeks and some stuff that's going to happen at the top of the year that I'm really excited about that I can't say yet,
Sure. That's
but
fine.
it's coming. I'm super excited. Um, and It's almost Christmas, and me and Mike and the Moon Pies put out a Christmas song last year. So, encouraging everybody to go and listen to that if you haven't heard it yet.
And what's it called?
It's called Lonely at Christmas.
Lonely at Christmas. So, okay, so obviously, then some tours that you'll announce soon. New music, anything that we can expect as well? Okay,
Yep,
excellent. EP, album, singles, all of it.
all of it.
Okay, okay, all right. That's exciting. That is very exciting. So, yeah, and then I guess let's the last song that I or the last question I want to ask you then is this single that you just released what almost a month ago, the way that I'm living with your husband, and then who is the other Adam then?
Adam Wright is one of the best songwriters you'll ever hear of. He wrote that song, and it was actually recorded by Leon Womack. And he's had a bunch of other Leon Womack, Alan Jackson, a bunch of different songs cut. He also has his own albums out that will blow your mind. Like he is just like every time we write with him, it's just like going to songwriting school. And he's just one of the most crafted and original songwriters that I know. And he's fun. Like his songs are fun and funny, but they can also like be dark. Like he can just do anything. And he's one of my favorite co-writers. There's 3 songs on Kentucky Blue that I wrote with Adam. I actually just started writing with him after my 2020 record. Um, but I know my next record is going to be half, I mean, or more songs that I've written with Adam, because I feel like he gets me and he gets that Appalachian sound and he likes it. So he doesn't stray from it or try to get me to do anything different. He just kind of makes what I do better. He's just incredibly talented. I encourage everybody to go to listen to Adam Wright's music. He recorded some of that stuff like in an office or a bedroom or something, and it still just will blow your mind.
So, for you as an artist, like I've asked this question before and to other musicians, I think it's appropriate because again, you have multiple businesses and it's not just your music career, but what what in your mind would be like a level of success for you with your music career?
Selling tickets. I want to be able to tour. I want to, and to do that, I need to be able to sell tickets, and that's why it's so important um, and meaningful to me that Margot shares her fans with me, and that Drayton's is sharing his, and Charles Wesley Godwin. Um, because if I want to keep doing this long term, records are expensive, and not only do I need them to stream well and need people to buy them, but I need them to buy a ticket to my show, where it's just not going to be it's not going to be something that I can do long term. Touring is expensive and you have to sell tickets. So um, that's my goal. I want to be able to go to these theaters or Ryman. I've never played at the Ryman, but it's a dream of mine to be able to sell out the Ryman. And to do that, I need to be able to sell tickets. So um, when I first got started, my thing is like noticed. My word for 2020 was noticed. I just want to be noticed. I'm seen, I'm heard, and I'm noticed. And that is still very much something that I say every day, because that's what it's going to take. Like people have to see me and hear me and notice me before they know if they even want to buy a ticket.
Right. Well, and to your point of the expense of touring, and I've just kind of found this out again just from talking to artists. Like, and I'll ask you this: have you venues that you've played, have they taken percentages from your merchandise sales?
Um, yes, but not often. I feel like that is becoming something that people are doing less and less. Venues are doing, especially with the opening act, because the opening act is getting paid, $250, 500 if they're lucky. They're real lucky if it's any more than that. So a lot of venues are not taking from me as an opening act.
Okay.
I think it's only happened maybe twice in the last year or two. Um, so hopefully, hopefully that's changing.
Yeah, I've heard as much as 40% that venues take, but it's usually like 20 to 25. Sometimes they will staff like your merch so that it seems a little bit less like of a pill, hard pill to swallow. But if they're taking 25%, you have to like do everything. Like that seems like a
Yeah.
real kick in the
Yeah.
pants.
Yeah, because merch is the way that I can afford to tour.
Correct.
Like
Not by
often,
streaming.
no, no, and often the gig doesn't even pay enough to cover all of my expenses, the hotel and the fuel and all that stuff. So I come out of the hole by selling vinyls and t-shirts and stuff. So when people are reaching down into that, it becomes even harder to come out of the red.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then it just becomes so deflating for the artist that, it eventually becomes like, well, this isn't worth it, and it should never be like a financial decision that, that you have to base it on whether you continue your music career or not, but
Yeah.
that seems to be the reality.
Hopefully that's good. That's changing.
Yeah. So last question for you, and I've already said that twice, but I promise this time. Social media. Obviously that is such a major part, for me as as a podcast host, for you as an artist. I personally, I don't loathe it, but I understand it and I understand why you have to do it. I don't enjoy doing it, but talk about how your relationship with social media is, and how you feel like is the best way to connect with your fans.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for social media and that it does give me an outlet to be able to connect with my fans and market my records and communicate with people, let them know where I'm playing shows at. Um, I think it's such a wonderful tool. It gets really defeating when the algorithms when you don't feel like they're on your side, or when half the people that actually follow you aren't seeing your things unless you're spending bukus of marketing money, and then they're still not seeing it. So I get a little defeated with social media, and I'm also just a human being, and sometimes I want to share, and I'm like on my social media game. I'm feeling good about myself. I'm feeling good about my life, and I want to share these things. And then sometimes I don't feel good. I don't feel good about me. I don't feel good about my place in life. I'm depressed, and I don't feel like sharing, and I don't when I don't feel good. So it's just, I'm trying to have more grace with myself on posting when it authentically feels good to post, and something that is true and honest. And I've never been a trend chaser. I've not even in high school. I've always just been who I am in that moment, regardless of what's popular and what everybody else is doing. And so that part of social media, I'm never going to get on board with unless there's a goofy trend that has something to do with a donkey or a pygmy goat or a dog. Maybe
Right.
I'll, something that I feel like is fun in my heart and like is in alignment with who I am, then I'll do it. But
Yeah.
there's some of these trends that just make me cringe and make me so uncomfortable. And it's like, I don't care if I can get 1 million followers. If I do that, I'm not going to do it. Makes me feel bad. It makes me feel very inauthentic. And so I'm just keeping the faith that I can keep being me, and the people that are meant to see me and find me and hear me, they'll find me because I'm being me and I'm being authentic.
It's well said. I couldn't have said it better. So thank you so much for that, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, this has been great. Check Britt Taylor out at brittaylormusic.com. Correct.
Mhm.
Follow her on Facebook, Instagram, her YouTube channel. Check her out. You said 4 shows for the rest of the year, correct?
4 shows.
And then we have
Actually, maybe 5. I think 2 in no, 4. 2 in Ohio, one in Indiana, and one in Birmingham.
Okay. And that's all in December, or that's any in this month?
December.
All December. Okay. And then supposedly we will get an announcement in a couple of weeks, maybe, about some exciting tour announcements. So
Music, no new touring. It's gonna be fun. Y'all stay in touch.
yeah, that's the dog loves it too.
I know he just like took off after something.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure as well to like, follow, subscribe to our channel, our social media pages as well, the Music Lab podcast. Make sure to check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters, RAWR Outfitters, for all your clothing needs, especially with the holidays around the corner. And as always, I've been Dogg. She's been Brit. You've been great. This is the Music Lab podcast.